David Muir, ABC's World News Tonight, America's most watched newscast. Now streaming same day with all the breaking news of the day on Disney Plus. Most watched, most trusted. Now on Disney Plus every night.
Tonight there is breaking news in the search for Nancy Guthrie. Tonight, what authorities have now revealed about the DNA on that glove 2 miles from Nancy Guthrie's home. Also tonight, the next steps here involving the DNA recovered from Nancy Guthrie's property. DNA that did not belong to Nancy or any of her family. And tonight, what the sheriff is now saying about her abduction, was it targeted? Aaron Katersky is standing by live with late developments. Also breaking tonight, a man wearing a tactical vest, police say armed with a gun, racing toward the Capitol, police getting him. Tonight, the 30-vehicle pileup, including 6 tractor trailers, strong winds, the storms slamming the west over and over again, moving across the country. There's word of an avalanche tonight. Some have been rescued, multiple people still missing. We have late reporting, and now the models that show a possible snowstorm in the Northeast coming this weekend. Lee Goldberg has the forecast. The horror at that ice rink tonight, the chilling new video showing the moment the first shots were fired. Authorities now say it was a man who killed his ex-wife and adult son, critically wounding 2 other members of their family. And tonight, ABC station WCVB with one of the bystanders who stepped in and prevented this from being even worse. Tonight, the nation remembering a civil rights giant, Reverend Jesse Jackson, passing away at the age of 84.
Our flag is red, white, and blue, but our nation is rainbow. Red, yellow, brown, black, and white.
Pierre Thomas looks back. Also tonight, the harrowing scene, a man grabbing a 1-year-old girl at a supermarket, ripping her away from her mother. What happened next? Tonight, actor Shia LaBeouf arrested, accused of assaulting 2 men. And America Strong, the Winter Games tonight, the bittersweet day for Team USA. And there's news coming in on Lindsey Vonn. We'll go right to Italy.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening. We begin tonight with breaking news on the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. The sheriff tonight revealing DNA evidence recovered from a glove about 2 miles from Nancy Guthrie's home does not match anyone in the federal criminal database. But tonight they are still looking at DNA found at Nancy Guthrie's home. That was not Nancy Guthrie's DNA or anyone in the family. And the sheriff now suggesting that with that DNA found at the home, they will now go beyond the criminal database and to some of the family genealogy DNA collected across this country. Now tonight, the other key part of this investigation remains the video at that front door. Law enforcement sources now telling ABC News that investigators are now trying to identify the gun and holster. They already know the backpack and perhaps some of the clothing, trying to see if the man bought any of it at Walmart. And the FBI also now canvassing gun shops in the Tucson area, hoping to find where the gun and holster were sold. And the search for any signal from Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker. We have learned tonight authorities have been using technology carried in drones overhead, capable of locating any possible signal from Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker, but nothing so far. ABC's chief investigative correspondent Aaron Katersky leading us off from Tucson again tonight.
Tonight, 16 days into the search for Nancy Guthrie, DNA found on a glove 2 miles from her home is not a match. Authorities confirming tonight the DNA lifted from that glove did not match any of the 22 million samples, mostly from criminals, in the FBI's national database. And law enforcement sources tell ABC News the DNA sample also did not match DNA found on Nancy Guthrie's property, which was not hers or anyone in her family. That DNA is still undergoing analysis. As of tonight, DNA on the glove is getting investigators nowhere.
The glove has always been a long shot in my view, but having said that, it's another piece of potential evidence that can only become relevant, basically, if and when you develop a viable suspect.
Authorities continue to test that unknown DNA found at the property, and tonight the sheriff in the case is suggesting they'll go beyond the criminal database and look at family genealogy that's been cataloged all over the country, saying we believe that we may have some DNA there that may be our suspect, and there are other resources like private genealogical companies that we will look into. Investigators also remain focused on the best evidence they have so far, the video retrieved from Nancy Guthrie's doorbell camera of the masked suspect at the front door armed with a pistol. The FBI's been visiting gun shops all over Tucson. The owner of this one told us the investigators were in the other day asking if there were any suspicious customers or sales of a holster that looked like the one on Nancy Guthrie's doorbell camera video. The holster, the mask, the jacket. The sheriff says those items, like this Ozark Trail Hiker Pack backpack, may have been purchased at Walmart. Authorities say they're working with Walmart to see if any of their cameras or receipts could lead to anyone of interest.
It could be a lead to Walmart. It could be a lead to a gun shop. It could be a lead on anything, DNA, whatever. They chase it down.
It was 2:28 that Sunday morning when investigators say Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker app disconnected from her phone, which was left behind at the house. Tonight, we've learned for days, searchers have been using technology called Blue Fly in drones that can help detect any possible signals from her pacemaker. That technology is also in helicopters and carried by investigators on foot. So far, no signs of the pacemaker. And while authorities have presented no new evidence that Nancy Guthrie was targeted because of her high-profile daughter or for any other reason, the sheriff telling Fox News it remains his hunch she was in some way targeted, that this wasn't random.
I believe it was a kidnapping.
Targeted kidnapping?
Yes, I believe whoever did that knew what they were up to.
So do you believe
knew who they were after?
And with authorities now formally clearing Nancy Guthrie's family, her children and their spouses of any involvement in her disappearance, the sheriff tonight is speaking of the toll misinformation and speculation has taken on the Guthries.
That family is suffering. They are hurting. And there's no justification for saying some of the things that were said out there in the media and social media. Just none. And I'm not going to tolerate it.
Right now, David, all investigators really seem to have is the DNA sample found here at Nancy Guthrie's property and the doorbell camera video of the suspect. The authorities are trying to identify everything the man is seen wearing in that video and trace where he bought it. David?
Aaron Katersky leading us off in Tucson tonight. Aaron, thank you. Also breaking tonight, the tense scene at the U.S. Capitol. A man wearing a tactical vest, police say armed with a shotgun, racing toward the Capitol. Officers then intercepting him, and what authorities say they then found inside his SUV. Here's Jay O'Brien.
Tonight, the alarming scene just steps away from the Capitol. Authorities say around 12:30 p.m., with tourists looking on, an 18-year-old man wearing a tactical vest and wielding a loaded shotgun raced toward the building. Capitol Police immediately drawing their weapons and the man surrendering without firing a shot.
Who knows what could have happened if we wouldn't had officers here standing guard like they do every single day.
And tonight, the investigation.
Police shutting down blocks around the Capitol and searching and towing a car away.
And tonight, police identifying that 18-year-old suspect as Carter Camacho of Smyrna, Georgia. They say he was armed with multiple rounds of ammunition and arrived in a white Mercedes SUV. And inside that car, investigators say they found a Kevlar helmet and a gas mask.
Have you found anything in the car or anything else that indicates the suspect's motive?
That investigation is ongoing.
Does the motive appear to be to hurt the public or members of Congress?
That's ongoing.
And David, tonight, Capitol Police say this kind of harrowing incident is something they trained for, including in an exercise just months ago. And we should note, as far as we know, no lawmakers were inside that building. The Congress is on recess this week, David.
The unnerving scene of the Capitol today. Jay O'Brien, thank you. Tonight, dangerous weather triggering a deadly pileup on I-25 in Colorado. Take a look. The 30-vehicle pileup, including 6 tractor trailers, strong winds, poor visibility. Multiple people were killed, more than 24 hurt. Tonight, millions are now under snow, high wind, and fire alerts across several states at this hour. The West getting hit over and over again. And now the models tonight that show a possible snowstorm in the Northeast again this weekend. It's still early on that. Lee Goldberg will sort through it all with the forecast. And here's Trevor Ault.
Tonight, a staggering, deadly pileup on the Colorado interstate. More than 30 vehicles colliding on I-25 south of Pueblo, including 6 semis. Officials say there were brownout conditions created by blowing dirt and wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour.
This was one of those storms that came through and the wind picked up very quickly.
Visibility near zero. 4 people killed, more than 24 taken to the hospital. Tonight, that intense weather is sweeping across the plains with red flag and high wind warnings. This 15,000-acre fire burning on the Oklahoma Panhandle. And watch as powerful wind gusts topple this semi on Highway 87 north of Amarillo, Texas. Storm chasers racing to check on the driver, helping him out of the cab. They tell us that driver is okay. Overnight, this same system slammed Southern California California, with heavy rain across the LA area, dumping feet of snow in the Sierras. Travel there nearly impossible. And tonight, first responders in Northern California are racing to locate a group of backcountry skiers caught in an avalanche northwest of Lake Tahoe.
David, several people in that Colorado pileup are now in serious condition. And here in Southern California, we're expecting more storms through the week, with more rain coming tonight. David.
The picture's just unbelievable tonight. Trevor, our thanks to you. Let's get right to WABC Chief Meteorologist Lee Goldberg taking us through it all tonight. Hi, Lee.
Hey, David, boy, these high winds are battering the central U.S. as we go through tonight. We're talking wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour from Wyoming to Texas, causing critical fire danger. It'll be a rough night. The wind will ease a little bit tomorrow. It will not ease in places like Montana over to parts of Minnesota and Michigan. Blizzard warnings, winter storm warnings for 6 to 12 inches of snow and high winds. Those alerts do extend into parts of New York and into Massachusetts for a few inches from Syracuse to about Worcester. We're still going with more rounds of rain in Southern California, heavy over the next couple of days. Mountain snow up to 8 feet in the Sierra, more in the Rockies as well. And some of that Pacific energy will be building blocks for an East Coast storm coming up this weekend. Now, a lot of this energy is still over the ocean, the storm track, still to be determined. A major snowstorm, not a lock yet on the East Coast. David?
We'll track that with you as well over the next couple of nights. Lee, thank you. We turn now to the horror at that ice rink in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. Chilling new video tonight showing the moment those first shots were fired. Players on the ice and fans racing for cover. Authorities tonight now say it was a man who killed his ex-wife and adult son and critically wounded 2 other members of his family. Here's Stephanie Ramos.
Tonight, authorities in Pawtucket, Rhode Island say this video is evidence of a targeted attack, and the suspect who opened fire at this youth hockey game, 56-year-old Robert Dorgan, killed members of his own family.
One of the victims was his ex-wife, Rhonda Dorgan, and also his son, adult son Aiden Dorgan.
They say Dorgan also shot and wounded 2 other relatives who were in the stands. Police looking at this video that appears to show a man in a white hat pulling a gun, moving through the crowd, then a struggle, and another man appears to grab the suspect. Authorities crediting those brave bystanders who grabbed Dorgan, preventing more bloodshed. One of them, Michael Black, telling ABC's Boston station WCVB when he realized what was happening, he told his wife to run.
I stood on the bleachers and I saw the gun and just grabbed, went for the gun, and I got my hand caught. He was trying to pull the trigger. He couldn't fire it.
At that time, the suspect did reach for a second firearm, and he did inflict a self-inflicted gunshot wound, which is what he succumbed to on scene.
My father was a shooter. After the shooting, a woman seen leaving the Pawtucket police station telling our Boston affiliate WCVB she's the suspect's daughter.
Any idea why he would have done this?
He's sick. He's very sick.
Authorities say Dorgan also goes by Roberta Esposito and had attended games in the past without any incidents. They're still searching for a motive. David, those 2 other relatives who were shot are still in critical condition. David.
Just a horrific story. Stephanie, thank you. In upstate New York tonight, massive explosion and fire destroying a church. 5 people critically injured, including 4 firefighters and a pastor, when that blast tore through the Abundant Life Fellowship Church in Boonville. That's northeast of Syracuse. Firefighters inside the church investigating a gas odor when the explosion happened. State police say the cause might have been propane tanks used to heat the building. Tonight, the nation honoring a civil rights giant, Reverend Jesse Jackson, passing away at the age of 84. A 2-time presidential candidate, the founder of the Rainbow Push Coalition, mentored by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And tonight, right here, the archival video of Jesse Jackson, there when Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, and what Jackson said. And tonight, former President Obama giving Jesse Jackson credit for paving the way so he could make history. Here's Pierre Thomas.
Tonight, the nation mourning the loss of a civil rights legend whose legacy was built on trying to overcome. Jesse Jackson Sr. passed away peacefully on Tuesday morning, surrounded by family. He was born in Greenville, South Carolina, under Jim Crow segregation.
A mama was not supposed to make it, and I was not supposed to make it.
Dedicated civil rights nonviolent soldier at the side of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. At just 26 years old, he was there on that fateful April evening when King was struck down by an assassin's bullet.
I asked him, I said, Dr. King, do you hear me? Dr. King, do you hear me? And he didn't say anything.
Black, beautiful, proud.
Moving from the South to Chicago, he would later form People United to Save Humanity, PUSH. He broke boundaries in politics, twice running for president. First in 1984 under the banner of a rainbow coalition.
Our flag is red, white, and blue, but our nation is rainbow. Red, yellow, brown, black, and white.
In 1988, he was, for a time, the Democratic Party's frontrunner for the presidential nomination. Jackson also took on the role of freelance international negotiator.
Overseas, the American black activist Jesse Jackson has become an intermediary in the Middle East.
At times, he was spiritual advisor, counseling President Bill Clinton in his darkest hour. Clinton later awarding Jackson the nation's highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And Jackson saw one of his hopes realized on election night in 2008.
America, I have never been more hopeful.
Tears flowing as he witnessed President-elect Barack Obama deliver his victory speech. Today, President Obama paying tribute, saying, "He laid the foundation for my own campaign to the highest office of the land. We stood on his shoulders." But Jackson, an ordained minister, was by no means perfect. There was marital infidelity. In the mid-1980s, having to apologize for making a highly offensive remark about the Jewish community. Although somewhat diminished, Jackson leaned on his faith of forgiveness and redemption and kept on fighting, keeping his eyes on the prize. His daughter today, Santita, remembering her father.
He was part of a group of men and women who were willing to die for their beliefs.
Through it all, Jackson's faith and hope in what America could be endured.
America will get better and better. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive.
Jackson was defined by his deep connection to the struggle for equality. David, he loved his people.
All right, Pierre Thomas with us live from Washington. Pierre, we appreciate the tribute tonight. Thank you. Overseas tonight, the U.S. involved in high-stakes diplomatic talks on two fronts in Geneva, meeting with Iran and with officials from Russia and Ukraine. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner leading indirect nuclear talks with Iran. Vice President J.D. Vance saying some progress was made, but that Iran having nuclear weapons remains a red line for the U.S. President Trump also urging Ukraine to make a deal with Russia, quote, fast. Key differences remain tonight over disputed territory in Ukraine. When we come back here tonight, we'll go to Italy, the bittersweet night for Team USA. Also, much more news ahead. A school teacher killed in a crash. Police say a driver tried to escape immigration agents causing that crash. Also, the harrowing scene, a man grabbing a 1-year-old girl at a supermarket right from her mother. What happened next? Actor Shia LaBeouf arrested tonight, what he's accused of. And the rescue, look at this, the bald eagle trapped on the ice right on the Hudson River here in New York. How they get to that bald eagle in a moment. Don't go away. Tonight, authorities say a school teacher was killed in a crash that they say was caused by a man trying to escape immigration agents in Savannah, Georgia. Police say agents were trying to pull over Oscar Vasquez Lopez when he hit the other car. Lopez was treated for injuries. Homeland Security tonight saying he was in the U.S. illegally with an order of removal. In northern Italy tonight, a man trying to kidnap a little girl right from her mother at a supermarket. The 1-year-old holding hands with her mother. The man attempting to violently yank the child away. The mother and other shoppers fighting back until police arrived. The girl suffering broken leg in the chaos, but she is okay and with family tonight. When we come back here, actor Shia LaBeouf has been arrested, what he's accused of, and saving that eagle on the Hudson River tonight will take you right out onto the river. To the Index, actor Shia LaBeouf arrested tonight, accused of attacking two men during Mardi Gras in New Orleans. Police say he punched a worker who asked him to leave a business near Bourbon Street. LaBeouf reportedly leaving the scene and then returning, allegedly attacking that same worker again and punching another person in the nose. Tonight, a bald eagle trapped on a chunk of ice on New York City's Hudson River. An NYPD harbor unit spotted the eagle after hearing its cries. The bird appearing to be injured, unable to fly. Police using that catch pole right there to bring the bird back to safety. When we come back tonight, we'll go to Italy, the bittersweet night at the Winter Games for Team USA. The Winter Games, a bittersweet day for Team USA. Not quite the gold, still very proud tonight. Janae Norman in Italy. Janae?
David, a pair of silver medals for Team USA tonight. Mac Forehand with a standout performance in the men's big air, helping notch his first medal in his second Olympic appearance. And the U.S. men's team also taking home silver in speed skating after dominating China by nearly 8 seconds. And it was a bittersweet night for the Blade Angels, as they're nicknamed. Alyssa Liu currently in third place as the highest ranked American heading into competition tomorrow. And after heartbreak on the slopes for Lindsey Vonn, she's back on American soil sharing this new video, thanking the medical staff taking care of her and fans sending love. And David, we now know the USA men's hockey team will play Sweden in the quarterfinals Thursday. That is the same night that the women's team goes for gold against Canada, David.
We'll be rooting for them both, Janae. Thanks so much. I'm David Muir. I'll see you right here tomorrow. Good night.
David Muir, the most trusted anchor in America, the most watched anchor in America. Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir the #1 newscast in America.